Right. Hi everyone, you're right. Sorry for being a wee bit late. But let's be fair, it's closer to on time than normal, so there's that. So, hello, hi, you're right everyone. How is everyone all? That's progress. Yeah. And sod off Super Ghost. Or I won't revive you next time. Right. Right. Sorry, Spawn KO'd the tablet battery. Right, I'm gonna have to do the Reddits on here. And bear with me, I'm still learning how to even use Reddit. Not something I use lots. Did have everything in like side windows, but that kind of went to shit. Where can I see my saved stuff? I'm probably just being fucking dumb as shit right now. Ah, got it. Okay. I don't think anyone cares if it's pronounced read it or Reddit. Everyone says Reddit. Aw, thank you, Brainless. I'm so glad your computer got sorted and everything, you know? Because otherwise that would have been like kind of shit. And, Satsu. Sorry, is. So, yeah, the new microphone. That's why I wasn't about last week. Because my other microphone, the blue snowball, broke. I mean, it been not working for quite a while, but this time it really broke. So yeah, that had to go, and now we have this one, which is like a razor. Yeah, it's meant to be good. So there's that. And also, while I actually remember, so kind of briefly talked about it last time. There's sort of stuff that I want to get doing for the horror stories, and some of that is potentially going to be like a kind of aesthetic change, because this is far from what I want it to be. I've got like kind of specific ideas in place, but that also involves me making a lot of stuff, so it's going to be kind of slow to get it all sorted, but fingers crossed it won't take long. But I am also not very good at craft. Despite me liking to do it, I'm not exactly very skilled, so probably going to be multiple shit attempts before I get it right. So that'll be interesting and fun to laugh at me about, you know? And yeah. Let's get on with the spookies. Actually, while I'm at it, 99% sure. Yeah, so it was going through already. Okay. So, this is from Reddit Ghost Stories by user Miss Brilliant. True story. I worked at a psych facility for teens. My first week we had a breaker throw, and it was going to take maintenance 3 hours to get to us. I volunteered to go to the basement and flip the breaker back. None of the other staff would go to the basement. Should have been my first clue. I get down there, and looking over all the breakers, this man's voice sounds behind me. What are you doing? Thinking it's maintenance, and I just didn't hear him come down the stairs that creak loudly, I turn around to be met with no one. I can't find the flipped breaker and go back upstairs and ask if anyone else went down. Nothing, no one. Everyone was accounted for. This was the first time I encountered something there. Next was the overpowering smell of gardenias or gardenia perfume. I would get sick or dizzy then smell it. Some of the kids had similar experiences, as well as staff. The overnight staff were supposed to be at one end of the house and another at the other end. I was in the living room sitting where I could see the basement door and saw hands, like at least 3 to 4 pairs of hands reaching and clawing out from the bottom of that door. Another night, I was sitting at the other end of the house and hear something upstairs. I go to the bottom of the stairs and see red, glowing eyes. I glare at it and hissed, "Leave them alone." It growled at me, and the eyes lifted to a standing position, then disappeared. I had a kid. He was 17 weeks away from discharging and had a college scholarship, not one lightly to make up stories. We were playing hide and seek. The kids would hide, while 1 to 2 staff were watching to make sure they all hid separately, and one staff was the seeker. I was the seeker and went to find one of the kiddos. I saw some in one of the bedrooms go from standing to hiding in the closet. There was a blanket that looked like a person under it. I pulled it up and nothing was under it. But something black streaked across my vision into another bedroom. The kiddo who was hiding in the other closet comes out and then stares at me wide-eyed. I heard someone say, "Got you," then touch my shoulder. It wasn't you, was it? I didn't allow the kids to hide upstairs anymore. Another night shift, and I'm in the living room again, and I see this black shadow of a man, at least 6 foot, turn the blind corner. We had one of those mirrors to see. We saw him on the mirror. Then I see him in the window in the kitchen, and then finally walk out through the side door. We had electrical issues with doors demagnetizing. All doors had to be locked where the kids couldn't leave without staff knowing or allowing and stopping crazy family members so they couldn't enter willy-nilly. And yes, they tried. They fixed the door, but it would happen at least once a month to more. Several times I would get off at 11 p.m. to midnight. I would see someone in my back seat as I was leaving. I would try and stay calm and say, "You aren't welcome here," or "You cannot come back with me." The entity would disappear. One time I felt something latch onto my back. Creepiest feeling. It took about 15 minutes to get it off, with prayer, before I even left the drive. During my time working there, I had several miscarriages. Normal for me. Had a medical problem which is now resolved. Many nightmares developed, major anxiety. I became paranoid and my insomnia worsened. After I finally quit, I lost a whole bunch of weight that I had packed on. I almost weighed 200 pounds at 5'3". I normally weighed closer to 130 and got pregnant successfully almost a year later. Crazy enough, I didn't quit because of demons/ghosts. I quit because the kid that got released killed himself. I couldn't handle knowing no matter how much we helped, sometimes it didn't help. I went to work at an assisted living instead, where if the patients died, they at least had a long life. Usually a long, happy, fulfilled life. Yeah, those hands under the door were just slim subs crawling to beg for more spankings. Got to have all the spankings. Okay. Right. Sorry, 1 second. Wrong one. Actually, do you know what? 1 sec. Sorry, that is so much better. That's how the Dutch beg for food. Okay. This is Dark Silhouette in the Woods from r/Ghost Stories still. This is by user what? Werner Verkel MPT? I don't know. Dark Silhouette. Dark Silhouette in the Woods. And the beginning to me is kind of funny because like the first thing I thought, like, this is a rewrite / repost of a story I previously had posted here and later deleted. For some reason, I periodically go through and remove all of them, then later I might rewrite them, so just reposting it to get new engagement? Maybe? Because like sometimes good ones do get buried and then like they're just buried, you don't get to see them. Or do they want like new feedback? Shit. Sorry, hang on a second. My balls dropped. There we go. Sorry, I just realised that's mighty close to the microphone. Sorry if I made anyone's ears cringe. Okay, there we go. So, right. This happened one evening in the summer of 1984. Damn it. Now I've got Barding for Soup in my head. 1984. I was a teenager walking around with 3 friends in the general area of the suburban neighbourhood we all lived. There wasn't a lot to do, so it was common for kids our age to stroll around at night, talking, laughing, and getting into minor mischief. There was a large wild area with streams, a swampy area, lots of trees, and a rocky area with mounds of dirt. It was an area of several acres, mostly surrounded by single-family homes in a few adjacent neighbourhoods. There were houses on all 3 sides, and on the 4th, a large empty field, an elementary school, and some municipal buildings. There was a narrow asphalt path that ran through the middle of the area, presumably to provide a way for the kids to walk to and from school. The whole area was referred to as the path. It had a reputation amongst the kids as a scary and dangerous place. In my mind, as a child, the Manson family, or the Shrewsbury equivalent, was living there, holding satanic rituals and sacrificing kids like me. In reality, the scariest thing was older kids smoking pot and drinking pilfered bottles of Michelob in the woods, or making out in the shady, leafy hollows. So, on this particular evening, it was Frank, Keith, Brian, and me wandering around aimlessly. We decided to walk down a dead-end street and cut through yards into the woods of the path. It was dusk, the light fading completely as we cut through, stepping over an old stone wall and into the dense underbrush. We didn't have a flashlight, and the only way we could see where we were going was to spark the flint wheel of an empty Bic lighter. It provided a quick, dim strobe flash by which we could get our bearings. We picked our way single file through the underbrush to a narrow, flowing brook. There was a fallen log across the stream, so it was a quick 1-2 step to cross it. On the other side, as we knew from playing in the woods, was a narrow dirt path that ran perpendicular to and intersected with the asphalt-paved main path off to our left, maybe 100 yards away. To the right, the path continued through the dense brush and made a 90-degree turn and traversed a slight rise through a forested area, ending in the large field by the school. One by one, we quick-stepped across the log over the stream and pushed through the bushes into the overgrown, dark, narrow path. I was third in line, Frank and Keith having gone first. As I emerged from the brush, and as Brian was making his way across, I heard Keith's voice, shrill and frightened. "There's someone standing right there!" Frank and Keith were to my left, facing in my direction. I whipped my head to the right, and sure enough, there was a man standing there, not 6 feet from me. It wasn't a tree. Okay. It was just a dark, silent shape. Appeared solid, a man-shaped blotch, darker than the darkness. No question. A man, standing there. I could make out the round brim of a hat that appeared to be tilted back on his head, so the outline was ovalish, not a horizontal line of a hat pulled low across the forehead. The figure was silent, unmoving. As I stared in terror, the figure shifted slightly, maybe turning or raising an arm. Somehow, my impression of this was not movement, but a subtle change in the shape of the silhouette. It was unclear what the movement was, but it was just that it was slightly different. But it displayed no perceptible motion. We broke and ran away in panic, truly scared, for sure, but laughing and hooting hysterically, leaving poor Brian behind to be murdered. We reached the asphalt path and stopped, catching our breath, with Brian arriving a few seconds behind us. He hadn't seen a thing and was somewhat perplexed, to say the least. As we stood panting and jabbering under the streetlight at the south end of the path, we compared what we had seen. Frank and Keith concurred what I had seen. A slim, silent man in a hat. Then Keith said, "When I was looking at it, it sort of changed. Like it didn't move, but it changed shape. That gave me goosebumps, since that was the same subjective observation I had had. Brian didn't see a thing, Poor Brian. The dirt path was very overgrown, with weeds and bushes all but obscuring it. It was disused by that point, so it wasn't easy going, and it wasn't a route one would take as a reasonable choice, especially at night. That was what made it particularly frightening. Excuse me. To encounter someone standing, silent and motionless, exactly where we happened to emerge onto the path after crossing the brook. Who was it, and why were they just standing there? How did they get there, and why didn't they speak to us? Why were they wearing what appeared to be a farmer's hat? All of these things flashed quickly through my mind when I saw the figure, but in one jolt, arriving all at once as a giant, what the fuck, in a primal part of my brain. My impression was that of a slim man in his 30s or 40s, about 5'8" to 5'10", kind of the same build as my doctor as a kid, who always reminded me of a guy from the Civil War era because he was short, thin and serious. Was it one of the residents of the neighbourhood who, perturbed by the obnoxious teenagers cutting through his yard, had somehow silently and quickly threaded his way through the dense dark underbrush in order to menacingly glower at us in silence? It could have been, and if so, that in itself is terrifying. Bravo on scarring us for life, Dr. B. I'm still in touch with Frank, and we talk about this experience from time to time. Nearly 40 years later, it still gives me chills to recall the encounter. And I don't know, like, to me, the writing, I like this story, but the writing style is really, it's like, this sounds so mean, and I'm so sorry, but like, just because you have a thesaurus doesn't mean you need to use it for every word. And again, like, I cannot write for shit, so oh, I like this one. Sorry in advance, anyone, if you're vegan. Sorry. Yeah. Carnivore by Hagnesta. On Reddit, short, scary stories. The killing room floor is slick with blood, and even though my shift ended 3 hours ago, I'm still here, bolt gun in hand, because Harris called in sick. Piece of shit he is. Mara is next to me holding her meat hooks when the doors leading from the pen open to reveal our next piece of meat. Maria whispers, "Shit, that's a first for me," she says. An alpaca saunters through the doors, obviously drowsy from the sedatives, but somehow still majestic. As it gets closer to me, I reach out to stroke its neck. It lets me, and when my hand reaches its back, I press it gently, and the alpaca lays down on the floor, ignoring how sticky it is. With the alpaca's head at chest height, I raise the bolt gun to its forehead, and a short thunk Later, it's dead on the floor in front of me. Me too, I say, as Mara approaches with the meat hooks. Remember back in the day when it was special, getting a cat or a dog? She says. I grunt, struggling with the bolt gun that hasn't been properly cleaned by whoever used it before me. Did I ever tell you about my grandparents? She blurts out suddenly. And then, without waiting for me to answer, she continues, they only ate fruit and vegetables. You believe that? No meat whatsoever. Crazy times, man. Grandad worked construction, so they probably wouldn't be able to afford a carrot these days. So they won't be able to afford a carrot these days, she chuckled. She's gotten the meat hooks into the alpaca while she's been talking. I hoist up the dead animal, and Mara gets the knife and slashes its throat, letting the blood spill over the floor. I tried a carrot once, I say. Mara chuckles. Yeah, right, she mutters, but I don't care if she believes me. The chains rattle, and with a clonk, the alpaca moves towards the exit. A minute after the dead animals left the room, the doors to the pen open again. A man is on the other side. He's shaking, but otherwise still standing. His breath is panicked, in spite of the sedatives. Humans never calm all the way down. I walk towards him, and he lets me grab his arm. Gently, I lead him into the room. Mara sighed. Almost looked like today would be exciting. When I've got the man in position, I force him to his knees, which doesn't really require force at all. He's mumbling pleas and apologies, saying he didn't mean to. It's always the same. They never mean to do whatever landed them here. But they all did it anyways, and now they're here. Nothing to be done. Tastes like shit, I say, and fire the bolt gun. The man hits the floor with a thump. The carrots, I mean. And that's that one. I really liked that one. Like, just the ending, the harshness of it. Like, it goes to show how truly desensitized they are to the situation. Like, not just the justifying that they're killing them to eat, right, for the meat industry, but the end bit, like, carrot tastes like shit. Normal conversation, just. And you're right, bum number one. How are you, sweetie? And yeah, sorry, still gonna eat my bacon sarnies. Not going without them. What was that one? Bacon what? Bacon sarnie. Gotta love a bacon sarnie. No. Okay. This is Be Careful with Your Words by Waiting for Mid-Moon. I woke up next to the woman of my dreams. Beautiful, intelligent, funny. We shared the same quick wit and sarcastic humour. I fell for her instantly. We had only met the night before, both of us feeling the spark, and she happily came home with me. We spent the entire night talking, laughing, and getting high. I decided to take the short 5-minute walk to the coffee shop and bring her back a cappuccino. On my way, I stopped by the local shop and picked up a scratch card. I instantly scratched it at the counter. 50,000? 50,000. 50,000. My jaw dropped. The shop attendant explained how to claim my prize, and I happily went on my way. The biggest smile was plastered across my face. I was practically skipping down the road. There's an alleyway just before the coffee shop in which a man's voice, who was calling my name, beckoned me to enter. There was something about his voice. It pulled me in. You have one wish. His voice was deep and strange. It was scary, yet somehow trustworthy, enticing at the same time. But, he continued, be careful with your words. And that was all he said. He just stood there in his hooded cloak, glaring at me. His liquid gold eyes and slow breathing were equally soothing as they were terrifying. Is he truly something magical and actually granting me a wish? With the fantastic day I was already having and the intensity of his whole being, I chose to believe him, and it took me a few minutes to think about it. He said to be careful with my words, probably because there would be bad implications if I didn't word it correctly, as with all wishes, I suppose. Got it. I wish to be as happy every day as I am today. He bowed his head towards me. The hood of his cloak completely engulfed the rest of his face, and all I could see were those golden, flaming eyes. Then, that's when I felt the pain. He'd stabbed me with his extra long, razor-sharp fingers. He dug in deep and directly into my upper stomach. He then dragged me down the alleyway into nothing but bugs, dirt, and more bugs. It was a place no human comes to visit and lives to tell the tale. And this is where he dumped me. Food for the bugs. It takes between 24 to 48 hours for a person to die from a stab wound to the upper abdomen. But because of the bugs eating away at my decaying body, sepsis set in much faster, and I died at about hour 15. He sat with me until the end, glaring into my soul and saying absolutely nothing. Before my world finally turned to black, I heard his enticing voice one more time. Your wish is granted. This morning was amazing. I woke up next to the woman of my dreams. And that's that. I mean, I think you kind of know why I like that one. I do like the ones that are, there's the repetition. And the fact that where at what point did we join him on his like journey, at the very beginning or at fucking cycle 100? Never know. Love it. Right, that is all I've been able to get today because of like things and stuff and things, and yeah. So normally I would try to go for an hour, but I have run out of material and Sim Stream is starting, so yay Sim. So anyone going to come join us over there? It's always fun in the dungeon. Just We're all just joining in. Oh, Legal Dante, you are here. You're right, Sue. Right, I'm going over here. And yeah, everyone come join us. What are we doing today? We are doing the Proud Boys, jerking off, abortion, banned deaths, fake vaccine injuries, and Andrew Tate's Andrew Tate's jail conditions. Oh my god, my brain. Hi, jelly. And the other time the jelly's been eaten, so brain dead. Ha. Anyway, right. I shall see you over there. If not, I shall see you next week for Vera's Vvicked Vvednesdays. Doodles!